But I think what we've been doing in Massachusetts is basically working with our colleagues in local government and elsewhere to encourage people to distance. And, you know, if you follow the Google data, which admittedly is a rough estimate, but a tool that a lot of people pay attention to, we've seen a 60% drop since, you know, March 7th or so, when we put the emergency order in place to begin with, in both park activity and in retail and recreation. It's a big drop. I think many of the measures that you can use to sort of draw big conclusions about this are still in the developmental stage, and I think people should be careful about drawing too many conclusions out of small pieces of information. And what I do know is we need, as I said in my remarks, we need to continue to take all the issues associated with distancing and slowing the spread seriously. And I believe the people in Massachusetts are doing that, based on, with small exceptions, based on what we see. Part of the reason why we banned parking at the beaches is because there was a clear evidence that a small group of people weren't taking seriously the issues associated with distancing, so we closed the beaches. And I know some other communities closed the parking at the beaches, and other communities followed up on that as well. The first part of your question, I'm going to need somebody like Mary Lou to get back to you on. But you're right, there is some variability there.
Governor, there's been, I think the Bay State Health CEO mentioned that in Western Massachusetts there's some possible a surge may actually come later, like in May or June. I was wondering if your advisory council or any other partners you're working with have considered the possibility that the surge, the timeline may vary from one part of the state to the next, and how to handle that.
I do think there's a constant conversation going on about all of these issues. And I think what I've said to our folks, and most people agree with this, is if you're going to be dealing with a surge, it's better to be too early than it is to be too late. And I think part of the reason why we're trying to get most of the stuff we're doing, especially with respect to additional capacity, up by the end of this week, is because April 10th is around the time that we expected this thing would start. If it ends up taking a little longer to get here, that just gives us a few more days to engage in preparation activity. But I have said many times that I don't know exactly what the slope of this line ultimately looks like, or how far out it goes. But what I do know is, based on all the modeling that our folks had done, by April 10th we need to be in a position to presume we're going to see a fairly significant increase in hospitalizations. And that's been the goal that we've been shooting to build our excess capacity for. And if it turns out that the slope of the line ends up being flatter and longer, then that's the way we'll play it. But again, this is not something that people have seen before. Okay, this is new, and because it's new, and because it's not something we have lots of historical history that people can rely on when they make judgment calls about how exactly to expect it to play out, you have to be willing, as I've said several times, to be nimble about this and to be willing to adapt based on collected data and information and the best advice you can get from people who are in a position to support and help our decision process.